independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, located in Vancouver, Washington in the United States. Thank you for joining me today. I am offering a free class today. I'm going to demonstrate 3 cards and everybody can watch. And I hope you'll like it. Earlier this week, I introduced the Piece to You stamp set. And I demonstrated 1 card. This was that card. It was quite lovely. But I talked about how sometimes you want a flatter card that doesn't cost as much to mail. And these cards that I'm demonstrating today emulate that same thought process. So there are 2 image stamps in this stamp set. We've got the Nativity and we have a snowy church scene. And then we have 4 sentiments. I'm using all of these stamps today in the 3 cards. Now, so everybody can watch for free. If you would like the kits, I'm offering 2 of each card, a kit for each card, 2 kits for each card. Free with a purchase of $25. Oh, sorry about that. So let me show you what that would look like. Each one of these envelopes, and I'll open them up when I turn the camera down, have a kit in them. And so they're like 2 are for 1 card, 2 are for another card, and 2 are for another card. So you would get all of these and a PDF sent to your email. I will ship these. I will pay for the shipping to you, but you would get these for free with a purchase of $25. So I hope that is intriguing to you. I am going to, let's see, what can I tell you? There is a stamp set. I think there's 2 bundles right now. I don't have it printed out in front of me. Let's see if I can remember the name. Fitting Florets. It's an early release for the January catalog. That's a bundle. And then there is Festively Framed, I think it's called. I don't have either one, but when these were introduced, I already had a full calendar and already had all of my stamp sets. So I haven't purchased them, although I have to say I've seen some really beautiful projects that people have been making. So I won't lie, it's a little tempting. But anyway, I'm going to, so those are available right now. You just go to stampinup.com and they should pop right up in the banner. Other than that, we have a join, the regular join special is $125 worth of product for $99. But the benefit is you would get to be on my team. And I have a sweet team. I have some very sweet people. They're hobby demonstrators. They don't choose to run a business like I do, which is fine. Majority of the Stampin' Up! People don't run a business. They just sign up to get the discount, which is a huge bonus, 20% off. The other bonus, though, is to have a community of people to craft with and to share ideas with. So anyway, I'm just going to leave that there and let you know that that is ongoing. And I'm going to turn the camera down and we're going to get started. I'm going to show you today's projects, 3 projects, and I will also show you what a kit looks like. I'm going to open it up. I'm actually going to open up a kit and make the kit. That's how I'm going to show you what's in the kit. All right, I'm going to turn the camera around. So here's today's projects. And I'm just going to let you look at those while I get the camera in position. So here was the project I showed earlier this week. That is not included in the kits. These are the projects that would be included in the kits. But I just wanted you to see how nice this is. Oh, I meant to look up I still can. I'm going to grab the catalog so I can tell you how much this stamp set is. It does not come with dies, it's just a stamp set. Let me set it aside. Get that chair out of the way. All right, I'm looking up the Piece to You. I have other catalogs opened up. This is $23. So $23 for that stamp set. So you could purchase that stamp set, a bottle of adhesive, which is $4.50, and you would hit your $25 and you would get all of these kits for free. But I'm going to show you this one first. So this is that snowy scene, and here I was really kind of, ever since I've seen this stamp set, I thought of a black and white movie, and so that's what I was going for here, was that kind of look. And then here I'm using the Nativity, and I've used one embossing folder, the musical notes or something melody. And then this one, I just wanted it to look like there's a bajillion stars in the sky. And so that's why I used this glimmer paper. So let's get started. I am actually going to start with the two nativity scenes first. Let me get some of this up out of the way. Now I have to open these up to see. That I didn't think through. I need to see which these are. So, okay, so there's one of my two nativities. There's the other one. There is my other nativity. Sorry about that. I didn't think that part through. All right. So I am going to make this nativity first, the one with the embossed musical notes. So I pre-cut and pre-score the kits. So when you open up your kit, this is what you would see. I've used one rhinestone in the middle of the star, so I give you that. There's your punched label for the Silent Night, Holy Night. This is the piece that is going to be stamped on here. I emboss, I pre-emboss. I cut the, ooh, I'll do better than that. I'll fix that. I'm glad that one I'm using. Matte layer, it's got a little rough edge on it. And then here are the two layers that go on the inside of the card. So that is, and you've got your envelope as well. So you get everything that you need. You have to provide all your own stamping. All right, so I am going to go ahead and start with Starry Night. And I'm looking through my camera to make sure that you can see. I am going to use one of these stamp pads to support my back plate here. I'm going to use a magnet on each side. So I'm using my Stamparatus so that I can, if I need to restamp to get the best possible image, because I'm stamping the negative space, not the positive space, like we are used to. So sometimes, because you're hitting bigger areas, sometimes you need to stamp over it again to get the best impression. So I've got my Starry Night. Going to stamp up my nativity stamp. Oops, I'm going to use my pressure tool. And I have some little whitish areas in here, just a few though, it's not too bad, but I am going to re-ink the whole thing. And because I've got it held down with a magnet, it's aligned. It's continuing to stay aligned. So using my pressure tool, oh, there we go. Much better. I'm looking for any flaws. I'm not seeing any flaws. I'm actually quite happy with how that looks. So I am not going to do any more ink application to that. What I am going to do before I forget is I am going to use my chamois to clean off the stamp. I'll do the next nativity right after this one, so I'm going to leave that there. But so I've got a damp chamois, the Simply Chamois, one of my favorite tools. And I'm just cleaning off that stamp. This just rinses out, and it stays stained, but it rinses out nice and clean, and you can just keep wiping off your stamps. All right, so I am going to move this out of the way. And I should look up and tell you which embossing folder this is. I do have the catalog open, right? Oh, right here. So that, it's something Melody. It is Merry Melody. So Merry Melody. Okay, I am going to bring up my paper trimmer. So what I have, I'm going to pull this up close so that you can see I've cut a perimeter all the way around. And how I am doing that is I am lining up, so there I have a track here that my blade runs through, and I am lining up the inked straight edge right on the outside of that track. And it's giving me a nice straight perimeter. And I'm doing that on all of these sides. The bottom is a little different because it has a curve in it, but I'll show you how I manage that. So this was my personal preference. I didn't do anything crazy, blingy, well, the one card is a little bit blingy, but I used it as stars. But I chose to keep these cards pretty simple because I felt like I needed to be more reverent because of the subject matter. Okay, so here I am finding the lowest point, which happens to be this corner over here. Straightening out. My cardstock based on the lines that I have on my cut and emboss, or not cut and emboss, on my paper trimmer. And now I have my symmetrical image. So now I'm going to bring over my kit. I am going to adhere my embossed layer to the matte layer. So my matte layer is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. My embossed layer, prior to being embossed, was 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. You can use, excuse me, you can use your, I want to say snail, and it's not called that anymore, Stampin' Seal. I prefer to use the liquid adhesive. Oh, that's right, I wanted to trim this. There's just a little dinky ruffle right here. I might have been going too fast with my paper trimmer. And I'm just centering that on there. Turn that over and give it a nice little press. Now I have adhered this flat down to, I want to make sure I remember which side is up. I believe that side is up. I got a little bit out of order here. Not a lot out of order, but a little bit. My card base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Can you tell? I'm still not, my voice isn't back to normal yet. I'm trying though. Trying to not let it get me down. Trying to keep going forward. All right, and then I burnished it. Gave it a nice sharp crease. I am now going to adhere this matte layer and embossed layer flat down, trying to reduce how many layers I'm sending through the mail. I am using some dimensionals behind the image that I just trimmed. And centering that on the card base. Then going to apply some dimensionals to the back of my, oh, before I do that, I am going to use a wink of Stella. I'm going to use a wink of Stella just on the big star. Being very careful. And I might just go over the 2 big points one more time. Let's see, I'm going to pull it up close, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not. But starts getting, nope, you can't see it. Trust me, it's a little bit sparkly. Not a lot, but a little bit. I'm going to take a sip of water. I am now going to put dimensionals on the back. And I'm going to use quite a few because I want it to be firm. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to take the backers off. Oh, come on. There we go. And then I'm going to position this about, I'm centering it from side to side, and I'm leaving enough space below to put the sentiment. So there is that. Now, here's the pre-cut label that I will provide in the kit. And I am using Silent Night, Holy Night sentiment. going to stamp it with my Starry Night ink pad. I'm just going to take a peek at that. There we go. And I'm gonna turn this a little bit, trying to avoid some of that shadow I've got going on. Oh, turning over my label. Doing that again. I was trying to not rock it because there's a halo of ink. There we go. Covered up my chamois. Need to wipe off my stamp. Going to put dimensionals on the back. And then center this underneath. Let's see. There we go. That looks pretty good. Then I am going to use that one little rhinestone. I grab it with my Take Your Pick tool and place it right in the center of that star. Now, that will create a little, come on please, a little bit of a bump. So you may need to put a little protective sheet over the top so that it doesn't get ruined in the mail. All right, we're going to take care of the inside of this now. So I put one little star up in the corner and then a sentiment on the inside. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to stamp the sentiment first. Couple things out of the way here. I love this. May God's hope and love shine on you this season. And I'm going to give that a nice little press. Ooh, I even got straight. Yay! Clean that off because I will be using that on all 3 cards. Using the same sentiment on the inside on all 3 cards. Now, you may notice that this star is not in this stamp set. I have pulled this, so see, there are nothing other than these 2 images in here. I have pulled this from the Christmas Lights stamp set, and see there's this one little bling of a star in here. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to use basic gray. I'm going to do a stamp off, and then I'm just going to draw over it with that Wink of Stella. So I'm going to stamp off and then stamp. Slightly crooked, but not horrible. I think it's fine. Stars aren't straight. cleaned off that one because I will use that again. I am going to go over that with the Wink of Stella. And I'm just doing it over those 3 lines. I didn't think it needed it over those little dotted bursts. There we go. Now, I tend to usually do more embellishing on the inside, but I felt like this was appropriate for this card. I mean, it's Silent Night, Holy Night, right? So there's not a lot of, hello, trumpets. Well, there are some trumpets. You know, I think that could have used a little bit more, It's a star. There we go. I see more bling on it now, or sparkles on it now. I am going to adhere that to a matte layer. We're almost done with card number 1. Isn't this a beautiful set? I wasn't so sure about it at first because of how it's stamped, being negative space versus positive space, but I'm really enjoying it, and I've seen some gorgeous, gorgeous applications on Pinterest where people are using, like, maybe the entire printed image is heat embossed or something like that. It's beautiful. Just wasn't the look I was going for this week. So speaking of this week versus next week, I'm going to have to keep an eye on what's available. If things are selling out or what's happening, but because we have visibility to that to a certain extent. But my intention is to demonstrate the Christmas lights bundle and the Brightest Glow bundle together. I love this Brightest Glow. I've been using, you've seen me using these sentiments for several weeks already. And you've also seen me use some of this Christmas lights as well. Okay, card number 1 is done. And, you know, whatever kind of stamping you decide to do would probably dictate what kind of embellishment you might put on your envelope or leave it plain white. So I'll set that aside. The next card that we're going to make is this one. So let me open up that kit so that you can see what is in it. So there's the image, the piece of paper that I'm going to stamp on. Here's the piece of paper that's going to be the sentiment. Here's the front of the card. Here's the inside of the card. Here is our one little rhinestone for the star, and then here's our card base. So our card base on all 3 of these cards are exactly the same. The 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and prepare this to stamp on. These magnets are super strong. All right, I am going to stamp this one in evening evergreen. When I get to assembling the card, I will tell you about this glimmer paper. So this stamp pad is just a little bit drier than that Starry Sky. So I might have to go over this a couple of times. go. I'm going to use my pressure tool. And see, we have some white spots, not a lot. Now I want to show you the sample card. There, I did leave some of the white spots in here, not the star spots, but some where it would be solid. You can see some white. And it really didn't bother me because I was going for this brilliance of a bajillion stars. And so I really kind of felt like this looked like there were more stars back behind these stars that were so bright in the front. That was my thought process anyway. So, but I definitely want it more inked up than is showing up there. All right, it's getting better. Still need an improvement right here. I'm not sure why that's not. So give that a nice solid press. Well, darn, why is that happening? I'm going to try one more time. Didn't think that the ink pad was that dry. It's not that dry, I can tell you. It's just drier than the last one. So I'm going to give and get a nice even press. And that's what we're going to go with. That's actually very close now to my sample card. Close this up. And I'm going to trim this up exactly the same way that I did the last one. I'm going to clean this stamp off real quick though. There, that's ready to go in the case. All right, take this out, bring up my paper cutter, paper trimmer. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did last time. So I'm just lining up, let's get that score tool out of the way. And I'm going to cough. Excuse me. Let me take a sip. I do have my cough drops here if I might as well, I guess. Yeah, both my husband and I were both can't get rid of the gravelly throat. All right. So lining up that inked line. I'm just going to set that score tool aside. Everything's been scored already, so I don't need that today. It's raining, and we've got lots more rain on its way here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, I guess up in Canada, it's already raining. I was checking the weather report because I've got on stage. Our Stampin' Up! Convention is up there in a week. I leave a week from tomorrow. And so I've been tracking the weather because all of a sudden we had snow in the forecast that we didn't have before. So that's causing a little bit of a concern, more for my husband than for me, but that's all right. I appreciate his concern. Let's see. There we go. Anyway, it's already raining like what we're supposed to get here tomorrow. It's already raining that way up there, and when I say that way, I mean 100%. Pouring, pouring, pouring. Bringing back in my card base. Going to burnish that fold. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the what's called On Stage, the Stampin' Up! Convention. This is my card front. This is my matte layer. I am going to adhere that down now. So my matte layer, the white, is 3 3/4 by 5. And this glimmer paper, oh, that's right, I was going to tell you about this glimmer paper. The glimmer paper is, excuse me, 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And I'm just going to I'm sure some people are wondering why I didn't just not do the live because I have this cough. But I lost so much time at the beginning of October when I got the original cold. So anybody that's been able to stick it out with me, I sure appreciate you. I am putting this layer up on dimensionals. I wanted to lift the white off of the white. I love white on white. I think it's gorgeous. All right. Take your pick tool. Okay, yeah, I'm going to put it on and then I'm going to tell you about the glimmer paper. So the glimmer paper is in the mini catalog, the July through December mini catalog. There are, I have it in here next to me, the package, so I can show you what colors come in it. So I'm just going to center this right on here. And it looks pretty straight to me. All right, here it is. It's 12 by 12. There are 3 colors. There's gold, there's this iridescent kind of very vanilla-ish color, and then there's this evening evergreen, and there's 2 of each 12 by 12 sheet. And I love this stuff. I've used it on tons of projects. I just love it. I think it's really beautiful, and I like the hand of it. I could tell you how much it is. It's $10 for those 6 12 by 12 pages. So I think that's a pretty nice, pretty fair deal. All right. I am now going to put dimensionals behind this as well. And I'm putting this kind of down here in the corner to kind of ground it so that this looks like the sky kind of, you know, the brilliance taking place. I mean, I could have put it even in the center too, but my design was off to one side. You can put it, if you get the kit, you can put it wherever you want. Now, if you're interested in the kits, but not interested in getting them for free, but you just want to purchase them, you can purchase the kits for $20 or get them for free with a purchase of $25. Not being any easier. Here we go. So at the Stampin' Up! Convention, it's the annual convention, they have the main convention this year is in Vienna, and then they have local conventions. And the local conventions are all over the United States, well, different countries. The closest one to me happens to be Vancouver, BC, just 5.5 hours away. There we go. I love what that looks like. I did forget to put my Wink of Stella on that star, so I'm going to do it right now before I forget. But now with some snow in the forecast, it just kind of adds a different element of trying to figure out what all we're going to do, or what I'm going to do. All right, so now I have a piece that's 5/8 of an inch by 2 inches that I am going to stamp the Light of the World sentiment. Going to use the Evening Evergreen. Maybe this is a little drier than I thought. No, that's pretty good. So I am going to try to do this straight. Not bad. Now, one of two things that you can do with this, just stuck my thumb right in that ink. You can use the banner Pick-a-Punch to banner cut the ends, or banner cut the ends. Or you can do it with your scissors, and I'm going to do it with my scissors. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Well, I really want that just a little bit shorter. There we go. And just a nice little shallow banner. It's okay. It's not great. My original one, I did cut with the punch. This is fine. It's a little bit more pointy than I wanted. Maybe, let's see if I can fix that a little bit. So I'm pivoting off of the original side cut and finding a that's better. All right. I'm now going to put dimensionals behind this, and because this is going to overlap right there, I want to make sure I don't put dimensionals there. I only want dimensionals like from this point to like right behind this word. So I think I only need 2. And this light of the world. There we go. I'm going to put my rhinestone in the middle of that star. Did it flip on me? No? And then use the pointed side to adjust the location. Give it, oops. There we go. All right. Get some debris out of the way here. Now we're going to work on the inner card. And the inner card we're going to do just like we did this one. It's going to have the same sentiment and it's going to have the same star. But naughty me did not clean off my Light of the World stamp after I stamped that front sentiment. There we go. So I am going to use Evening Evergreen for the sentiment. Beautiful. And then I am going to use that basic gray for my star again. And I'll put the Wink of Stella over it again as well. Very nice. I must not have gotten my sticker on straight on this stamp, and that's why you saw me stamp it so many times until I got it as close to vertical as possible. And I just realized something that I didn't do on either one of these 2 cards that I'm going to have to go back and do. But first I'm going to put my Wink of Stella on my star. And what I noticed that I forgot is I didn't add skin tone to the nativity. I've chosen, so you know we have 10 different skin tones to choose from, and then you can blend any of those to make anything that you want. I've just chosen, I've picked number Stampin' Up! 1000 or SU 1000. That's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and finish assembling the inside of the card, and then I'll go back and add that skin tone pretty easily to both of those. And it's very subtle. It's not a big, if you don't have the skin tones and you don't want to buy the skin tones, no one would notice. No one, it's just a detail that I chose to add on. And I got that crooked. So let me scooch that just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card. I have 3 tubes of multi-purpose adhesive that are all towards the end of their life, and I'm having to work hard to get the adhesive out of them. But I want to use them up. I don't want to waste the money of not getting every little last bit out of them. So there we go. That's nice and straight. Now I'm going to use the bullet tip and just touch up Joseph's face, his hands. There's just a little piece of his neck showing right here. And then Mary's face. Baby Jesus's face, there's just a little bit of dab there. And then Mary's hands. And see, it's very, very subtle, but it does give the image just a little bit more dimension. I'm going to grab my last card and do the exact same thing. So I'm using a Stampin' Blend, and the color that I've chosen to use is 1000 from the Natural Tones, Natural Skin Tones. And you know, I should tell you where those are at in the catalog, because they're not with the rest of the blends. So give me one moment and I will find those for you. When I did my catalog launch party, I told everybody that too. All right, see, isn't that pretty? All right, and so here is card number 2, and there's its envelope. All right, in the annual catalog, and it was in a real unusual location. It's, if I remember correctly, it was where the trying to think of the name of it, like the embossing pastes and things like that. There they are. So it's on page 128. It's down here in the corner. See, it's really kind of hidden. It's called Natural Tones Stampin' Blends. They're $9 a piece. You get 2 in each set. So there's a deep set, a medium set, or excuse me, a deep, medium, medium light, and light. So clearly I was just using the light. So that's where those are at, and it's $9 for a 2-pack. I have all of them and I love them. All right, we are now on to our third and final card. So this is the card we're going to make. And for this card, this paper is a designer series paper from the Textured Chic DSP set or collection. I have 10 out of 12 of the prints. I've used one of them all up, but here's the print that I'm using today. And then there are these others, and the other side is very blingy gold foil on all of them. If you want to see these more closely, go to stampinup.com and put in textured chic designer series paper, and then you can click on it and you can see each one big. All right. Are you liking these? I hope you are. All right, here is our next kit. So there's the label for the sentiment on the front. There's the piece that I'm going to stamp with the church scene, our designer series paper, the matte layer, then our message liner, and the matte layer, and our card base. So I'm going to go ahead and start exactly the same way I've been starting all of the rest of these, and that is by, let's see, I'm moving things to the wrong side of the table here. By stamping the image. So I'm going to put my cardstock down, my magnets on, then put my stamp on here. And I am going to use basic gray. I really love, see there's 3 different colors of snowflakes in here. There's the soft succulent, the white, and the basic gray. I think they're gorgeous together. I'm going to use my pressure tool. I see a few white spots on here that I don't want, so I'm going to keep going for it till I get this image looking just like I want. That's darn near perfect. I need it just a little bit better around that cross. I'm going to give that another press. I'm going to go just a little bit more. We're going to call that good. I mean, it looks pretty sharp, doesn't it? Close up this gray for a couple of minutes. Going to clean off my stamp using my chamois. All right, and I'm actually going to trim this exactly the same way that I did the first two. Bring up that paper trimmer. And I'm lining up, if you weren't here at the beginning when I explained what I was doing. So here's the track. You see where the dark line is here? That is the cutting track. I'm lining up the inked edge to the farthest side of that track. To the farthest side of the track on the clear holder. It's giving me a nice little precise edge. So with all this rainy weather, I've been using my crock pot like crazy. Today I have a chicken breast in the crock pot, and it might be a mashed potatoes and gravy kind of night. I'll give my husband the choice when he gets home. And then I'm lining up the edge of my image, or of my cardstock, with a horizontal line, and I'm using the deepest, the lowest point of the ink here for my lining up. Hold that down and give that a nice cut, and I now have a square image, or squared off image. It might not be perfectly square, but isn't that pretty? I think it looks great. Bring in our card base again. So 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Just going to burnish that. So all of these cards should mail very easily. If you feel like they are too thick for your region or your mailman or mail person or whatever, I recommend just putting another layer of just plain cardstock right over the top of it to smooth out anything, and just slide it in the envelope. That's what I do, and I get away with it every time. So I'll knock on wood. So my designer series, see how pretty that is on the other side? Can you believe I'm covering it up? But I really like those snowflakes on the other side. So I am just going to adhere this down to my basic gray matte layer. These are the same dimensions as what I've given on the other cards. Actually, no, they're not. Excuse me. Let me give you the dimensions. This one, the matte layer, is 4 by 5 1/4, and the designer series paper is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I am going to adhere that flat down to the card base. And there we go. That looks pretty straight. Push that down. And then I am going to use dimensionals on the back of my image. And I'm going to use a lot of dimensionals, just like I did on the first two cards. And sorry I'm not talking that much. I'm sorry. This silly cough. If I talk too much, I do end up coughing. So over this cold. I've now officially had it for an entire month. So has my husband. We could just keep swapping it back and forth. All right. I am now going to position this centered from side to side. That looks pretty good. I have this label that I cut with, it's 1/2 inch, and then I cut it, or I punched the ends with the lovely label pick-a-punch. So move some things around here. And I'm looking for the, oh, there it is. Looking for the sentiment. So this one I'm using the Peace to You at Christmas. I'm going to stamp it with the basic gray. And checking for how straight it, whoops, how straight it is. Nice, okay. Flip that over and do that again. And I'm turning, trying to avoid that shadow that is making it hard for me to see. There we go. Nailed it. Close this up for just a minute while I attach my label to the front. No one will see my messed up back. Almost done with card number 3. Just need to stamp the inside. All right. Now, if you didn't like, I'm slightly off center here, not horrible, but a little bit. You could put one embellishment right here and then maybe a couple more up here to fix that. If it bothers you. If it doesn't, then no harm, no foul. All right, so now for the inside, I am going to stamp the sentiment again, the same sentiment that I've used on all 3 cards on the inside, and that is the May God's hope and love shine on you this season. Pretty decent. And then I want to add a couple snowflakes because I've got snowflakes on here, right? And there are a couple different sets of snowflakes. There's this one here, which is what I'm going to use, or there's this little cluster of snowflake star kind of. And I am going to use the soft succulent color. And give that a nice test. Looks good. So I'm going to put one up in this corner and one down in this corner. And we're done with the inside. These were some pretty simple cards, but I personally think they're quite elegant in their simplicity. I am going to mat my message liner on a piece of basic gray. Same dimensions as what was used on the outside. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and this layer is 1/8 of an inch smaller in both directions. So it is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I've seen a nice fun fold that holds the nativity up in a pretty way. There's some nice things on Pinterest. So look up Piece to You for some other designs, if my designs are maybe too simple for you. And then looking to see, I thought I just saw a flash on my screen, like maybe somebody left a comment, but I missed it. I don't have a way of scrolling to see what it was. So if you made a comment, my apologies for missing it. All right. Centered that right on. And we are done with card number 2, and there is its envelope. So I've just shown you straight from the kits what it looks like to make these cards. And there's a second kit of each. So there's a total of 6 kits. So with a minimum purchase of $25 or more, you can get all 6 of these kits for free. Friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, and best wishes to you all. I hope everybody stays well. Big hugs.